It was 10 years ago on a night just like this that Survivor San Juan del Sur episode 9 aired in the real time, and it sounded just like this.
These guys are so dumb.
Yes, Jeremy voted out 10 years ago tonight. And here with me to talk about it 10 years later is Josh Wigler. Josh, how are you?
I'm having one of those moments where like it's state dependent memory, right? Where like I think I have to be plugged into RHAP podcast mode to go back 10 years into the past to remember what it was like to hear you ask Jeremy if he could give you a clean "these guys are so dumb" for the soundboard, which it seems as though you're still using all these years later.
Yeah. Well done.
I remember this.
Great job, Josh.
I got snapped back in time.
So that'll be 10 years ago tomorrow when I did my exit interview with Jeremy. But yeah, 10 years ago tonight, a big blindside for us. And Jeremy ends up going out in Survivor San Juan del Sur.
Yeah.
Him and Natalie give up a reward for John and Jacqueline. And how do they repay them?
Yeah.
Nothing.
They flip them off? Is that what you just did?
No, well, that's basically what they did.
Yeah. Well, flippers never win, as we'll come to find across the rest of this season. But it is a depressing night of television, Rob. The good guys lost this time.
Yep. And
good guys lost this one.
Jeremy goes home and thus sets in motion an arc, which ultimately will result in Jeremy returning to Survivor and then winning Survivor Second Chances in about then. He'll be the winner about in another year's time. So that's almost 9 years ago. For
almost
Jeremy
9
winning.
years ago. Let's play this clip 1 year from today when we're doing Second Chance 10 years later. We'll do San Juan del Sur's 10-year anniversary 1 year later.
Yeah. I don't know if we need worlds apart 10 years later, but Second Chances 10 years later, that might have some legs.
Second Chance 10 years later, in my opinion, is a must. We have to do it. That is the first of the season. With
Steven, maybe. Maybe Steven has ever podcast about Second Chances.
It's an interesting point. That's an interesting point. We could see if Steven would be brave enough. Does he have the courage, like Drew Christie, to confront himself? Could he look in the mirror and go back and see what happened? I don't know, but I would love that. I think that'd be great. I think that'd be fun. And who needs Worlds Apart as a 10-year anniversary? Wants? I don't know.
Maybe we'll see. Let's see what happens. We'll listen to the will of the people as we go through it. But anyway, how are you today, Josh?
I'm all right. I'm doing just fine. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? You went to that was very Fishbackian of me. That's a classic Steven deflection of like, I don't want to tell you that I'm not doing great today, so let's just flip it right back on you. How are you doing, Rob?
Yeah, I'm doing okay. I did go to the dentist today, but it was nothing.
Robert
no
after
major
dentist
procedure. Yeah, I showed my kids that video the other day.
What did they think?
They liked it.
Were they scared?
No, they were not. I was trying to come up with a list of like what are like the classic YouTube videos to show my kids.
David after dentist.
I did, got it. They liked it.
Have you sent them the Nintendo 64 kid?
No, I don't think so.
That's what he opened. This is from like the 90s, but it was on the videos of the early aughts. It's a little kid going, Nintendo 64. He goes nuts.
Yeah.
He goes nuts on that N64.
Yeah. Watched Charlie Bit My Finger.
Of course, that was the next one I was going to, which may have, I hope they're old enough that they're not getting any ideas from Charlie Bit My Finger.
No, well, the kids are old enough. And then there was a lot of videos of like Charlie Bit My Finger 10 years later. And those videos were like 7 or 8 years old.
Oh, gosh. Gross.
Like Charlie and his brother, I think, are probably like in college by now.
Charlie was on Survivor last season, actually.
That's the same
he's
guy.
currently hosting a podcast with Jeff Probst.
Yeah. Well, Soda at one point is like, Charlie. She says it. But you know what I thought was kind of sad? I like that. I think that if Charlie's finger got bit in 2024, I think that they would have had more ways to monetize it. I think they'd be sitting on like Charlie be like, driving a, a Bentley these days.
Yeah,
It
going
really
around.
seemed like that, Charlie's finger got bit. And
no one cares.
Everybody laughed, but they didn't make they were in the 10 years later video. They were like, well, we got to do a few adverts. Okay.
That's not good enough. That's
not good enough.
Not good enough. They needed a Costco deal. They need to go around giving the booms.
Yeah. Those guys are making bank.
Yeah.
The Rizzler, forget it. He's set for life.
Rizzler's smart, right? And you can see it in the Rizzler's eyes, where the Rizzler, and he's like outlining his jaw. He's mean mugging, and he knows. He's like, I have 2 years of this max. Before everyone catches on to me not being talented in any other capacity. So they gotta rake it in now. They don't have any other move. Make that Rizzler money now before that Rizzler money is unavailable for life.
Yeah.
Spend wisely too.
Spend wisely. All right. Yeah. All right. So let's drop who gets the boom and who gets the doom over on Survivor San Juan del Sur this week. John and Jacqueline were in this interesting position, as they've been for some time in the game, about which way do they want to go. And last week it was all about that the guys disrespected Jacqueline. And so how could John vote with those guys? They disrespected Jacqueline. They have no respect for his girlfriend. How could he work with them?
And I like this is the mark of a great partner. Great partner, right? He's saying I'm not going to talk to these brohawks. I'm not going to deal with these nincompoops, these ingrates who won't even treat my future wife like a human. Yeah, and they're not. They don't talk to her. We established this at multiple points in this episode. Later on, when it's gonna Keith Dale just doesn't talk to girls.
I talk to him if I pass him. If I pass him by, I talk to him. Yeah, but I get nervous.
It's a lot.
But this whole reason, I can't work with them. They disrespect Jacqueline. This just gets completely abandoned in this episode. That's not a thing anymore.
No, not yet. But we've not seen the last of the John and Jacqueline drama here this season. There's some great moments still to come. Trouble in Paradise, not terribly far away.
Yeah.
Is San Juan del Sur paradise?
No, it looks
go there. Is
very bleak. Yeah. One of the least scenic Survivor locations. I'm surprised we go back here to Nicaragua after the Nicaragua and Redemption Island. Not exactly beloved seasons of Survivor or beautiful locales. Yeah. So I don't know if Survivor kind of just got stuck of okay, we've been to Samoa, we've been to Philippines, we're in sort of this spiral of locations,
running out of places to travel,
running out of places to go. I guess back to Nicaragua, they say.
That feels like one of those we travel every year, we go every year somewhere. Where do we want to go? Okay, well, I don't want to think about it right now. We just got back, and the further and further along they get in the year, and the closer and closer they get to travel time, they're like, Nicaragua, that's really all that's available. That's what's left. And so they go. And we do another set of seasons here in Nicaragua. I think it kind of adds to the charm of the season, actually. I think in the real time, I thought wow, it looks dry. San Juan del Sur is arid. An arid season of Survivor for certain. But I think now, sort of really this? I feel that becomes the defining trait of the energy of San Juan del Sur. So I think having that about the location a little bit too sort of adds to the charm for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Simone's in the chat right now. Sorry. Simone is in the chat right now saying that San Juan del Sur is the closest Josh will get to watching Big Brother. Is that true? Is San Juan del Sur Big Brother adjacent?
I don't know. I feel that some of the seasons that have either Hayden Moss or Beast Mode Cowboy are probably closer to Big Brother than this.
Or the Cerise
is as close as we're going to get Josh to watch The Amazing Race, I think.
I've watched some Amazing Race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what'd you think?
I watched the 20s. It's fine. It's a fun show.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. It's a fun show.
Yeah.
You
All
go
right.
around in a car, those taxis that get you every time.
Yeah. So after they get back, boy, Keith and Wes are like, boy, they got us. They really sold us. They were completely snowed that John and Jacqueline did not vote with them.
Yeah, and so now they're in a big pickle. How do they get themselves out of this one? And really, it seems like the only plan they have is like, well, between the two of us, one of us got an idol. We'll just lure him this way.
We got to use it at the right time.
And it's like, oh no. I think the moment that the nail males say, all right, well, we got this idol, we got to use it at the right time, should be a very clear, immediate clue that it would not be used at the right time.
Okay. So let's get to our reward challenge. And you mentioned that Charlie bit my finger.
Yeah.
So the name of this reward challenge, the name of this reward challenge is, do you know?
No, I don't.
Shake It Off.
I just been
named after
T Swift?
Yeah, let's see. So Shake It Off, that is released in 2014.
Yes.
Could it be? Could it be, as many of these challenges are named after songs?
There's no doubt in my mind that Jeff is a Swiftie. Just no question whatsoever.
But, Josh, it would be impossible because unless they had some sort of unless I'm missing something, that the song Shake It Off is released 10 years ago, August 19th, 2014.
Oh.
But this season is filmed in June of 2014.
But they don't call it Shake It Off out there. Or at least if they do, that doesn't translate through the TV. And it could be the kind of thing that like Shake It Off comes out, it's a phenom, and Kierhofer et al. After the fact are like, we're gonna call that Shake It Off. We gotta like get in on that. But like Kierhofer famously in the challenge department, famously like always named their challenges after some sort of song. Typically it's like 70s rock, classic rock. So a Swiftie shout out would maybe be a little bit outside of the box for them, especially with those dates being what they are. But I think we have also established that within the greater Survivor universe, time travel is canon. So it is
Is it possible? Could they have like named the song, named the challenge after the popularity? Like the song is popping at the time the episode airs. Is it possible? Did they know?
Did they know? Did they know?
I don't think they knew, but could they name it like do they have to like not lock in the name of the challenge until the episode airs?
I think like they have like their big board up that has like challenges for the season. Like they've got their production office. And so things like names for challenges and like in their book, like that stuff exists already. But like if they wanted to change it after the fact to Shake It Off, I don't think like anyone is like coming in.
So this
with,
reward challenge,
book.
according to our friends over at the Survivor Wiki, is only run one other time previously, and that is in
Australian Outback.
Australian Outback. Yes, you're right.
Nick Brown.
Wow, good memory.
Nick Brown.
And Nick Brown, who was a winner earlier this month.
Good guy won.
In his vote.
The good guy won.
But it was called Rock the Boat.
Right. So maybe
it is now named new San Juan del Sur's version.
Shake It Off.
Shake It Off.
Shake It Off. Do we never see this again? This is the last time we see this challenge, or do they do this?
They've never run it again.
Huh. Interesting. Okay. So it took them 27 seasons in between instances. Where are we at? We're getting real close.
29 plus 27.
It should have already happened.
No, carry the 1. 56.
Oh, I don't know how to math.
Made
the big mistake of trying to math on a podcast.
Big mistake.
All right. Yeah. Well, a few seasons from now, we'll be able to talk about this again.
Yeah.
So the challenge needs a reminder for certain people in the chat, I believe.
All right. So we get our reward challenge and yada, yada, yada.
But they want to know. They want to know what it was, what Shake It Off was. Okay, so you're on a beam,
you're
right?
You're on a beam, and then you're just like trying to like
I'm on one side of the beam. Rob's on the other side of the beam. We're both trying to shake it off.
Mhm.
And like, we're just trying to like shake the other guy off of it. And beneath, back in the outback, I believe they were like over like some sort of little bog. My memory is like they're on a little bog.
Yeah, it was like a higher drop to the mud pit in the the Australian outback.
It was a bit of a
seemingly.
bog situation that like it's like the rare challenge for Colby to lose. And
I'd
Nick
call it
Brown,
bogged down.
Yeah, bogged down would be good. Nick Brown, who's like pinned against the wall, is like, nah, I'm not going home here. And so he like just like walks through this challenge.
This is a short drop to get down into the mud, but they get muddy.
This version, it's just like a very swift drop from the balance beam into the mud pit. And this is a mud pit, not a bog. And everyone is getting super, super dirty, except one person who I had forgotten about this. But as soon as I started watching it again, like just like a cascade of memories. It's like at the end of Lost. I'm waking up, Rob. It's San Juan del Sur that turned out to be my constant. And it's Baylor versus Missy. Everybody's like going in. Everybody's getting messy. Everyone's getting covered in mud. Reed's getting mud in the eye. It's a mess. And then Missy versus Baylor. And it's another instance of like Missy very clearly just like, no one's going to touch my kid. That includes myself. And so she's just like, it's very obvious.
My kid is not getting dirty.
She's
and
not
my
getting
kid is not
in
getting in the mud.
None of you
Or my dead body.
And so like Baylor has this tactic where after Missy drops, Baylor, instead of just like falling in, because everybody else who wins tends to like win with some sort of move that causes their bodies to plummet into the mud with no real rhyme or reason, just wet mud. But Baylor, when she vanquishes her mother, Baylor hops right off the beam and lands both legs deep into the mud, arms outstretched, and the most stoic look on her face, as if she is willing the mud to stay off her body. So you see everybody else is like Schwarzenegger at the end of Predator.
Yeah.
And Baylor is just like mud up to the knees, and like that's it.
Big night for Baylor.
Baylor having a really big episode of Survivor. It maybe perhaps was a premonition that she was doing that her superpower apparently is her feet. So perhaps she was just like concentrating all the mud into her. Another way in which this episode 10 years later, feet are a big deal this week on Survivor.
Yeah. Okay. So Survivor fan says she wasn't birthed into the mud. That's why she didn't win. Nowadays you get birthed into the mud. Yeah. They don't just jump into the mud.
Would she have quit New Era Survivor when she found out that you get birthed into the mud?
She probably would not have liked it.
I don't think she would have liked it.
Okay, but let's talk about the important thing that happens here out of this reward challenge very quickly. Natalie says, I want to give up my spot on the reward to John.
Yeah.
And the reward is to go on a cruise ship. Going on a cruise is fun,
That's
Keith
fun.
Mail once said.
That's fun. And then Jeremy very quickly, I want to give up my reward too. And so John and Jacqueline are going to get to do-si-do with Jeremy and Natalie here.
Okay. And so we have this, quid pro quo of they voted with us.
No quid pro quo. Yeah.
We're going to now take care of our friends. And so Jeremy and Natalie don't go to the reward, but Jeff is like, you should have waited until after we picked who goes to exile. And so Jeremy, I'm not sure why he had his bag. I don't know if it was like part of the plan that Jeremy was going to exile no matter what. Maybe he wanted to go look for the idol. But there was some talk of like, well, Jeremy's already packed, so I guess it'll be Jeremy to go to Exile Island.
It seems like everyone was like, Jeremy, go to exile. Seems like that's what it feels like. We'd have to hear it from the source. Perhaps in our respective exits from this week, we may be able to uncover that.
Yeah. Okay.
What do you think of this, though? Like 10 years later, does this kind of thing really happen anymore? It doesn't really that often.
No, it doesn't happen anymore because I'm trying to think of in the post merge, do we get these groups doing challenges together for reward? I guess they do, but I guess the food is so scarce. We don't see, it's not an alliance game the way that like Jeremy and Natalie and Missy are trying to like put together this like a group of different people and hold it together. I feel like that the alliances are not as strong in modern New Era Survivor.
Well, I also think that Jeff is maybe a bit more of a stickler for these kinds of things now, to the degree that like no sharing at the auction, right? Like, Kyle, you're gonna eat those meat wings and you're gonna like them. You were no take backs, no trades.
But I think that Jeff would let you switch out a reward. I think that maybe the closest we had with this was going back to last season when Q won the Applebee's. That it wasn't in the episode, but when Liz had her emotional moment on the mat, as we say nowadays, we didn't describe it that way in Survivor 47, but that's or 46.
I'm pissed!
Yes.
That I believe that both Kenzie and Maria said, "Oh no, she could take my spot," and Q said,
Debatable.
"Yeah, no way.
Debatable.
You can't have my spot."
Survivor fan says, didn't Xander give up reward for Erica in 41?
Survivor fan, I didn't know there was going to be a quiz about Survivor 41 today. Okay.
Who are you, Jordan Kalish?
Yeah. I don't remember anything that happened in Survivor 41.
Yeah. I like what you said about not remember anything that happened in Survivor 41.
Did Xander give up on a reward for Erica in Survivor 41? I don't know. Did he?
You know what, though? I don't think do this as a rule. I think
it doesn't work out so great here.
It doesn't work out so well here. And I think generally, my policy on this is like, I think we've talked over the years about like, do you want to just not win the reward is maybe the move. But like, I think if you do win the reward, you won the reward. And like the spirit of competition dictates that you get to reap the benefits.
So I think that the issue here with this, where Natalie and Jeremy, like their heart is in the right place. I think that maybe the fact that the two of them did it, like maybe it works out a little bit different if just Natalie does it, but because Natalie and Jeremy do it, even Keith Nail is like, "Oh, that was a good move. Oh, you can't beat that." Like, so if it's so like nakedly like transactional that even Keith can see like, "Oh, I know what they did.
Yeah.
I know what that meant." So like, I think that maybe it's just like, okay, well now, okay, I get it. Now I owe you one. And people don't like that.
What if Natalie is like, "I'm giving my reward to John," and then Jeremy is like, "I'm giving my reward to Wes." Just would have been weird.
I think that would have been weird. I wonder if maybe you like Natalie just gives up her reward to Jacqueline just to take care of Jacqueline. But I think that John is like such a like stomach on legs that he just wants to like I gotta feed my hungry boy. I think that that everybody knows John is like, you can motivate him with his stomach.
Yeah. I think also like, what are we dealing with at this point, right? Like it's like a big mob of people. Ostensibly, this is what it is: a big mob of people versus strategic masterminds like Wes, Alec, and the late great Keith Nail. Like not like the most savvy or even savvy survivors in existence. And then Reed, who is like is trying stuff for sure in this episode, including outright robbery, like full on theft. So like at this point, they're like not even really thinking that they've got much to worry about for the next 4 votes. This ends up being clearly, Jeremy's blind spot. They're not even thinking about this stuff yet. John Mish, though, he could not be happier. He's like, "Oh my God, you guys rock. Oh, I owe you for life."
Yep. And you know what? If it wasn't for the business with the hidden immunity idol, maybe this does work.
Yeah.
Like maybe we shouldn't poo-poo this as much because it's really, I think the events around the hidden immunity idol ultimately are probably the bigger factor in what ends up happening.
Yeah,
all right. So quick. Jeremy ends up going to Exile Island. Back at camp, Keith and Wes they are blown. Their skirt was blown up by this move.
Blown up. Bravo! Look at you. And Natalie's over there, just be like, "Yeah, what do you want? This is a pretty killer move, wasn't it?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and whatever happens, just Wes and Keith, they don't want to be blindsided. Whatever you do, they don't want to be #blindsided.
Yes, that's what Wes says. Don't #blindside me.
Now, is this the first time that a Survivor player references a hashtag?
Didn't it happen already on the show? Didn't
Did
we? We hashtag Hoyopa, I think is the name of our tribe, technically. Have they said hashtag?
On the tribe flag?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You sure that that's a hashtag and not an H? A silent H?
It's like a second H, so it's like Hoyopa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a George R. R. Martin spelling.
Oh, wow. I would be furious if George R. R. Martin named a character like Hugh with like 2 starting
Three H's.
Dude, get out of here. We're not triple H-ing Hugh unless we're triple H-ing Hugh.
He's the game. Okay.
That's not it.
All right. So at the reward, I don't feel like we don't really get a good sense of what the spread is at the reward. We see them on the boat.
We heard about it. Jeff goes, sandwiches, pastrami. That's what he says.
Okay.
He says sandwiches, pastrami, drinks for the adults, soft drinks for the kids.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Now, we had sandwiches in Survivor 47 in the real time 10 years later. BLT.
BLT. Yeah. This is such a specific sandwich. I feel like sometimes their sandwich choices end up being really specific. I feel like a pastrami sandwich is a very specific thing, right? Like, I like a pastrami sandwich in the moment, but like, am I grabbing that off the shelf? I don't know. Like,
yeah.
You know, okay, so Josh was out here saying, I cannot wait for tacos. I want tacos bad.
Yeah, I can see that.
Who is out here being like, I cannot wait for a pastrami sandwich? Or who's out there being like, you know what I need? BLT.
But well, you know, it just so happens that in Big Brother this past season, Angela was very much
pastrami queen, right?
But no, I wish that she was begging for a BLT with real bacon,
as opposed to what, like
I don't know, turkey bacon maybe.
Yeah, or like fake bacon, like a plant-based bacon.
They would never do that on
I knew
Survivor.
she was the charcuterie person.
Yeah, and she also liked the charcuterie. So I think that all these things would hit for Angela.
She'd be psyched about a pastrami sandwich, I bet.
She
might.
BLTA.
I mean, I don't know her well enough to know. Like, would she like discard the bread and just like hoover down the pastrami?
No, I think she'd eat the bread.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess it was a BLTA. I guess avocado also.
Okay, well, don't start like getting on your high horse about real bacon if you're trying to put an avocado on there. You're disrupting the whole delicate balance of the BLT, Angela.
Yep. So she had some very specific food picks for sure.
What did you think? Did you talk about it this week, the BLT? Did you spend any time on it? Talking about it?
BLT? No, on Survivor 47? No, not really. I mean, the burping.
Or would you be?
You know, it's funny because I said last week on the podcast, I think this is the episode of Survivor with the most burping and farting ever.
Yes.
And then Saul was like, hold my BLT.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's it.
Anything else you want to say about the BLT?
No, not really. I was just checking to see if like you had any further thoughts on it.
No.
You're not a big BLT guy, I don't think.
Me?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure it's delicious, but I would never order. I want something with a little more substance.
You need a little more protein.
Yeah. Like if you got a club sandwich and put some turkey on there.
You needed a turkey in there. You need a fourth ingredient. Maybe even avocado would improve the BLT for you. I don't know.
And
are you a avocado guy?
Am I an avocado guy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I like guac.
Yeah. Okay.
It's fine. You know. Yeah. Not gonna have Steven cut it up for me.
Okay.
But cool. All right. Reed, it says he's gonna sow chaos. He doesn't really. At first, I was like, "Oh, I think this was a mistake for Jeremy and Natalie." On my rewatch, I'm like, "They left the swing votes alone with Reed."
Yeah.
But he doesn't really do much persuasion on the reward.
It's giving small town old west vibes where like he's the only person in the jail and like everybody else just kind of like the jail cell isn't even locked because like there's no threats in the town, but like everybody knows he's like the local drunk that we just locked up the night before, but he's allowed to roam free. Like Reed doesn't have any real threat that he can seemingly pose to anybody. And I don't even know how much like his Keith thing matters in this episode, other than to put like Keith and Wes on some measure of alert. But like, does he like, is that so chaos of Reed what he does here?
Not really. And SCW chaos or SOOO chaos?
Yeah, SOOO.
We've talked about how Natalie doesn't really have much of a story in the season until Jeremy goes away. But I also think the same could probably be said of Reed. That Reed is sort of a little bit of a non-entity while Josh is there. And now all of a sudden he's very like mustache twirly and he's going to do things. But he's also sort of painted into a corner where that he is really going to alienate Keith and Wes here in this episode. He hates Missy also. Doesn't really have a thing going on with them. So it's like for him to like piece together a coalition, it's a little tough for Reed.
Yes. He doesn't have any. He's stuck on
Here's Reed.
Right now, I am in a tight situation because I don't have an idol. I don't have anything. I am just lying.
Yeah. He's got nowhere to go. I got no place else to go.
He has nothing.
Where can he go?
Yeah.
He can go with the nails and Alec. There's not a lot you could do with that.
All right, so Jeremy's on Exile Island, and
I hate it here.
He doesn't like it.
I hate it here.
He doesn't like it, and that he knows there's an idol there. He's looking for it everywhere. He doesn't have it, and this is impossible. How could the idol not be here? He's looked everywhere.
Yeah. And he even has a more specific clue, like all of signs are pointing. And he's like, the only thing that makes sense is John found it. But if he did, why didn't he just tell me? And then I wouldn't have had to be here for 2 nights.
Yeah, he doesn't like that. That if John found it, great. This is like his same thing with Keith Nail. We could have a sub alliance.
Yeah.
And not a BLT sub.
No. BLT on a sub? That gets more substantial just by a volume increase.
Mm-hmm.
Does that do anything for you?
Not really.
Yeah.
Would not be like, I can't think of the situation where I'd order a BLT.
On a hero.
A hero?
Yeah.
So,
how about a healer or a hustler?
Still not tempting me.
So he's miserable. He has a hard time sleeping while he's on exile.
Sure.
What does he say about the crabs?
Yeah, I was gonna pull that quote and I didn't end up doing it. So he comes back and that they're like, okay, wow, Jeremy, you really look beat. And he's like, he's talking about, yeah, I didn't sleep much. He said the crabs were shaky and scary.
Yeah, he said I didn't sleep much. The crabs were shaky and scary.
Jeremy, why were the crabs so shaky and scary? Like, I thought he was gonna say they were scarce and I couldn't eat anything because it was hard to get them. But why were they scary?
It's like,
did they have like really big pinchers?
I think like if the the crabs being shaky, that's what was scary. It's like the crabs were coming
They
out.
were just like shaking their pinchers.
Yeah. They kept shaking it off. Like maybe that was what they got the idea for, is like maybe like everyone was watching, like Jeremy's really tripping out watching these crabs shake it off.
Yeah, the crabs were shaky and scary.
The crabs were shaky and scary feels like a piece of dialogue from Severance. It doesn't feel like a thing that you're like scared about on Survivor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But, yeah.
Jeremy, what were the crabs like on Exile?
Spooky, scary, right?
Spooky, scary crabs. They were horrifying. Don't laugh. It was terrible.
They were spooky and scary. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We got a challenge. It's time for make a block tower. They're really making a meal out of this, unlike a BLT. This is the first challenge ever you will do just with your feet.
Yeah. Is this where the tweets, baby,
Tweets, baby, tweets. Survivor tweets. They're better than Baylor balancing things with her feet. Tweets.
Ryan Elder, that was the first of many Survivor social media intro songs that he would turn around in less than a day because so many people were live tweeting the show.
Which is amazing because 10 years later, Survivor Twitter, at least for one night only, we'll see what the future holds, ports over to Survivor Blue Sky, where on Blue Sky, they are called skeets, whether you want them to be or not.
Does Blue Sky call them that?
I don't think Blue Sky like has an opinion. Like I think like Blue Sky does. Like Blue Sky is like we
agnostic.
Are Blue Sky, man. Yeah, it's not like one person with their band hammer just like exploiting the social media network for their global gain. It's like we are Blue Sky, and the Blue Sky elders called them skeets. So who are we to take that away from the elders? So I was certainly in my head singing "Skeets, baby, skeets." As we were posting so many various.
I haven't made my first skeet yet. I made an account. I was going to promote the podcast that we did with Sammy Leotti from Survivor 43, which was very fun. But I didn't want my first Blue Sky message.
Is this not a moment to do skeets, baby skeets, Survivor skeets? They're better
than Baylor picking up stuff with her feet.
Yeah, just do it.
Baby tweets, Survivor tweets. They're better than Baylor balancing things with her feet. Tweets.
Skeet that right now and watch it blow up.
What's blow up?
I mean, like you'll get like a couple hundred likes at least, I would guess. Skeets, baby skeets, Survivor skeets.
Okay, if you can, hold it down while I type that in because I don't have Blue Sky logged in on this computer. That's
I got it. I can hold us down. What I'll do is I will narrate what happens in this challenge now, because if you've forgotten what the challenge is, it is here's a bunch of blocks. Set up the blocks into like a 3-tiered cake structure.
Is the word Survivor a hashtag?
Yeah, do a hashtag. Hashtags are very useful on the Blue Sky. At Rob Cesternino on the Blue Sky, at Round Howard on the Blue Sky. Come say hi. So you got to build a 3-tiered block castle, and then you have to get a flag in the middle of it. You have to do all of this with your feet. And we see that Keith is doing decently well with it. Reed is doing really well with it, but it's Baylor who shows up and is like,
she's just going to show up.
She just shows up and just starts obliterating it. Just an incredible display of core strength from Baylor. And she is able to beat Reed, thanks in no small part to the cheerleading from her mother down the line. Where while Baylor is like being, while Probst is narrating that Baylor is like, oh, Baylor's really in it, Missy seems to like abandon all other priorities and just get on the, come on, Bay.
My kid.
You got this, Bay.
Come on, Bay.
Slow down, Baylor. You got this, Bay. And then Baylor wins immunity, and Missy goes, "That's my kid winning.
My kid winning immunity."
Are you anywhere further along on the path of Missy should have gotten a second chance?
No.
Okay, just checking. I feel like maybe every once in a while.
I just want to make sure I got the quote right.
Yeah, tweets, baby, tweets. Survivor tweets.
Yep.
They're better than Baylor balancing things with her feet.
Okay. I got it. Okay.
Yeah. You got it. That's it.
They're better than Baylor balancing stuff with her feet.
Yep.
I said picking up stuff with her feet.
Balancing things with her feet?
Let's see, one more time.
Tweets, baby, tweets. Survivor tweets. They're better than Baylor balancing things with her feet.
Things with her feet.
Balancing things with her feet. Skeets. That's what we want to see. Skeets. So yeah, that's what happens, and I feel like Baylor looks about as like totally fine over winning an immunity as anyone as I've ever seen on this show. Like she kind of doesn't have any sort of like jubilant reaction. She's sort of just like, I can't believe I did it, and then Jeff just gives her the thing, and the day is won, And Reed could have really used that immunity necklace, but do you know who could have used it more?
Jeremy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
He could have 2 in a row would have been nice for Jeremy. But ultimately, okay, alas, Baylor has won immunity. And so back at camp, Reed is saying,
Did you post it? Have you posted?
Posted
it?
Did it not go?
Oh, well, you know what? Right now, it's, Blue Sky is like really toasted. There's a lot going on Blue Sky right
Y'all
now.
toasted?
So I think y'all toast. Yeah, so maybe it's just going to take them a quick little minute for the thing to show up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we've got Reed. I am going to light the camp on fire.
Yeah. That's
And
what
he says.
That's what he thinks he's going to do.
That's what he thinks he's going to do. And he says, rule number 1 on Survivor, don't leave stuff in your bag if you don't want people to find it.
Yeah. What do we think of this?
I think it's a good play on Reed's part. I mean, I don't know if it's necessarily like, you idiot, why did you leave the idol in your bag? I don't know if it's quite like, oh my God, what a buffoon.
Yeah.
But don't leave your bag where Reed can get it. And so Reed just completely steals the idol note. Now, I think that there's a little bit of a fine line in the Survivor rules about he
can't steal an idol, but
Reed
can he
can't
steal
the idol, but he kind of steals the parchment.
He does
and
steal
just is like, hey, everybody, look at this. Look at this.
He does steal the parchment. It's not kind of like that's outright theft.
He's like, oh, I thought I was going into this bag, and here I found this. And he has this is the idol note, and he tells Missy and Jacqueline about it.
Yeah. Now, there's a world in which he does this. He shows them the parchment, and then he leaves the conversation. And Missy and Jacqueline, they don't go like, okay, so Reed's got an idol. Like, they don't do that at any point where they don't
think that Reed would say, look, I found this parchment and this is in this person's bag.
Yeah,
and this person has the idol. That's a smart move. I like that.
I feel like I would have to assume that there's a chance that that's his own idol parchment that he has from finding an idol of his own. No? Don't you have to take that into the calculus?
Well, just that the way that the idols were hidden this season, you had to go to Exile Island to get the clue to an idol, and then so I don't know if it would even be plausible that Reed would have had the ability to get an idol.
Do you know who did go to Exile Island?
Josh. Yeah, but not recently.
No.
Yeah,
but he did go.
Yeah,
could have a thing.
Okay.
So I think you gotta think about it.
Keith also quickly realizes that his bag has been tampered with.
It was in my blue jeans.
Yep. And he even drops that's my stuff.
That's my stuff. Yeah. My stuff. That's my stuff. Her kid. Yeah, he does drop a James my stuff, which is wonderful.
But here's where things start to really unravel for Jeremy. So Jacqueline tells John about the idol paper, and John's like, "Oh, this is not good."
Yeah.
Because all right, so Keith has an idol, but Jeremy says, "I'm gonna go ask." John is the worst liar. I'm gonna ask John about what's going on, and Jeremy is quite correct. John is a bad liar.
Yeah.
But I think that Jeremy maybe presses a little too hard here in that then John realizes, uh-oh, the gig is up.
Yeah. Yeah, and he goes to oh, you should have just told me then that I wouldn't have had to go, and it's so good that you found it. And then John's like, no, it would have been so good if I'd found it, but I didn't. And yeah, Jeremy keeps pushing it, and eventually Jeremy tells us in confessional, he's basically like, I have to still be mostly happy about this, and I don't know why he's being weird about it, but I guess it's his right to be weird about it. And anyway, we don't have to deal with this until the final 6. So it does just go to show that even 29 seasons into the show, we're still in an era here in this midsection of Survivor, late middle age here. Maybe I don't know what the end shelf is on this show, but at least middle age right now. That people are still playing with the idea that I've got my squad and we're going to be fine. We're going to be just fine. We don't have to deal with the goon squad of Keith, Wes, Alec, and Reed. Like, we'll just knock them out, and then the 6 of us will fight this thing to the death. That is not how this is going to ultimately go out. But Jeremy is clearly thinking in that direction. But John gets spooked. He gets real, like those crabs were shaky and scary. But John is shaken and scared right now. And he's going to go to Missy. And he's going to say to Missy, I need help. Mom, help.
Yeah. So, all right. So John is like, okay, this is bad. Jeremy knows about this. And then he goes and tells Missy about what's going on. She's like, okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And he's like, I got in trouble with Jeremy. I got big trouble with Jeremy, and he knows something.
He's going to know that I have the idol because then he's asking a lot of questions. Was this enough of a decision? And we're going to talk about what I said 10 years ago, but it seems like that this is kind of like a panic move to flip around and vote off Jeremy because of this.
Yes, this is Jeremy and John have had an operation going. They've been part of an operation, and the operation, not to steal too heavily from Australian Survivor, but was essentially like, we're going to be taking cookies out of this cookie jar, and we're going to be doing it together as a group. And what Jeremy has suspected is that John now has a means with which to secure additional cookies. And Jeremy, like, feeling like that will pay off at some point down the line, just lets John know, like, hey, I know that you are able to get extra cookies. And then John is reacting like a kid whose big secret is about to be taken out. And so he goes complaining to Missy. He goes complaining to Mom. Says, Jeremy's really thinking about taking some of those extra cookies. And she's like, well, that's not how I want to play. That's my cookie jar. I'm not playing that game. And she's gonna show some favoritism towards John Mish. Yeah, I do think it was a panicked move. I think
it was panicky, and
you can tell it's panicky because there's like no build up
and
at all.
Yeah, we just go right to tribal council. It's kind of like
it's a very shocking vote because the show doesn't give you a lot.
Yeah, and maybe the players there did not say a lot because ultimately there ends up being 5 votes on Jeremy. This is a weird vote in terms of unpacking it. This is actually a 5-3-2 vote. Yeah, there's 3 factions here. There's John and Jacqueline, Baylor and Missy, and Reed vote for Jeremy. I don't know who looped in Reed
I don't remember.
to vote for Jeremy. That doesn't even come up. Yeah, we don't see it. Then Alec, Keith, and Wes vote for Reed. Yep. They're completely out of the loop. They're on a different show. Yes. They're voting for Reed in this episode.
Yes.
And then Jeremy and Natalie, they think everyone else is voting with them. They're voting for Keith.
Right. Reed would have voted for Keith as well, potentially, right, in this, because like if those 3 guys are voting out Reed and deciding, so like where's Reed's vote going? Probably wherever they tell him to vote. So maybe they just told him like, vote Jeremy, you'll see another day. But I do think that that's risky, and I think maybe another way in which this like aligns nicely with the episode of Survivor 47 from this past week. Is like, I thought that like telling Rachel, why are we bothering telling Rachel about the Saul plan? You've got the numbers. She doesn't need to know. And all hell breaks loose, and like Saul ultimately does still end up going, but like it caused all kinds of pandemonium that go all the way through tribal. And so I think like even here, like, is Reed not in the Rachel spot? Like, did they need to tell Reed? They had 4 votes locked. There's going to be 3 guaranteed votes on Reed, it seems like. Mm-hmm. And then these 2 guaranteed votes on Keith. And it doesn't really matter where Reed votes. Why are we letting Reed in on the secret? So I don't understand. Maybe Reed was just going to vote for Jeremy anyway?
But
this
why?
is out there in the exit press. We're just not reading it at this current moment in time. But these are questions that were on my mind watching the episode.
Okay. Do you have the answers?
I'm sure I can find them. I don't have them presently.
Well, all right. So let's go to Tribal Council. And Tribal Council, it's we talk a little bit about the trading of the reward. Even Reed says, "Oh, but everybody knew what that was." And Jeremy and Natalie talking about like, "Yeah, we're loyal. We're loyal to our allies."
Yeah. That's the plan. Is like this is like we've got like a very loyal thing going on. And Reed at Tribal Council live is just like, this sucks. And Jeff's like, right? And he's like, totally. Yeah. But he knows.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from Tribal Council?
No, it's a weird tribal. It's a very weird tribal. There's like the sniping between John and the Wes and Alec contingent. And this is where Keith says, I'm afraid to talk to him. Like, Keith, you could just talk to some of the girls. I don't know.
Yeah. And it's like all that stuff is such smoke screen, but not even like, oh, let's take advantage of the stuff going on with this is a great cover for us to be able to blindside a big threat in the game. It just seems like this was that, but Jeremy's gonna know I had the idol, and we gotta like get rid of Jeremy.
Like, I just don't want to have to answer for that. Could we get rid of him?
Deal with that, right?
Can we get rid of that? And that's what they decide. And like it's very surprising because we just have like very little buildup for it. So it really does just like come as this sucker punch. And really, like, Natalie is the only one who gets to have sort of like an appropriate reaction, which is, as Survivor fan points out, what the F, Missy?
Yeah, appropriate reaction.
Yeah.
Okay. And Jeremy, the tribe has spoken. Okay, so Jeremy goes out, a big fan favorite, and I think that a lot of people are looking for Jeremy to return for a second chance. Very heroic spot here through 9 episodes.
Good guy lost.
Yeah.
Good guy lost.
Yeah.
That's what he says.
And, he's like out here in this season with a bunch of, I don't want to say dummies, but people who are not like the, smartest Survivor strategists of all time.
Sure. Yeah. I think that I don't know, like, what does he learn? What does he learn from this San Juan del Sur experience that buffs him up for a winning season just 2 seasons later?
Yeah, I don't know. I just think back to when you spoke to Jeremy before he went into second chance, that he was just very like calm and zen and relaxed and loose about it. Yes. And I don't understand how he went from this to that.
So I think part of it, my memory of Jeremy during the second chance preseason is absolutely that. We've talked about that already here on San Juan del Sur, of Jeremy just like feeling like pretty ready and just like with like this really relaxed attitude about it. And I think if I'm remembering it right, part of that was like you really get to play Survivor like this once in a lifetime game. Is called a once in a lifetime if you're even lucky to get that once. To get the once in a lifetime experience twice is insanity, and to do it with like this like veritable gladiators arena of competitors, I think was like this other thing that must have been like both exciting and also like an opportunity. So I think like going into that season, like on the other side of like, San Juan del Sur, as much as I love it, is like, it's like populated by like an absurd assortment of human beings. And not to say that like any season of Survivor isn't populated by an absurd assortment of human beings, but typically there's a good chunk of them that could play really well. And San Juan del Sur's gameplay is maybe not the reason why that season is great. But what is he bringing from having failed there to a season that's filled with like people who are really hungry to win it? I don't know. I think that there's something to be learned.
I'd also say that I think he's also mentioned that like not playing with Val, like he doesn't have to worry about that. He's only have to worry about himself. Doesn't have to worry about his wife being taken care of or how she's doing. I think was also something that made him a little bit more relaxed. And maybe he just felt good about the people that are there of like, hey, look, all these people here, they watch my game. They know what I'm about. Like I'm not being targeted, from the jump. A lot of these players want to work with me. I feel good about the players that are out here. And so maybe he was going in a little bit more loosey-goosey.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right, but let's talk back about what did we discuss back in the 10 years prior.
Yes. So what was it like on Know-It-All night, the night that
Okay,
Jeremy
who do you think got the fishy tonight?
Reed?
Well, there was quite a debate between Rob and Steven over who should be who should get the fishy and whether this was a good move. Steven was very much in the camp that this was a good move from John.
Okay.
John gets the fishy award. Rob said, "No, I don't like this move. Not a good move. What are you doing?" And Steven, according to Josh Green and Danielle Mathis, who do these write-ups, Josh cites that Steven kept bringing up how Tony took swings at his allies at the right time before his allies could get him. And said that he was looking at John through a Tony Vlachos glasses.
Wow.
And also that Josh adds Rob was not giving John that much credit.
Yeah.
Ironically, then Jeremy would play with Tony, both in Survivor Winners at War and in the Trader Season 3.
That's true. Yes, that's still coming, which is going to be. I just recently revisited. It was like being shared around the clip from Winners at War of Jeremy and Tony talking about how many days there are in a week.
Yeah.
Very good stuff. Their dynamic is very fun. I'm looking forward to seeing that again for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I mean, this doesn't ultimately like long-term benefit John, but Jeremy's a dangerous player and they get him out here. So it really is like from whose perspective, I guess. What do you think about this now? Like, was there a better path moving forward for John and Jacqueline than taking Jeremy out now?
I think that
just like be chill for a couple of votes and try and like wait down the line.
Well, that for for John and Jacqueline, that John, I think that maybe there's a tug of war over Missy, but I think that John and Jacqueline, at the end of the day, Missy and Baylor are going with John and Jacqueline, I believe.
Yeah.
So they have that, they have the numbers, and I don't think that. I know Reed is such a like hired gun at that point, but I don't think that Jeremy and Natalie are pulling in like Keith and Wes to vote with them to vote out John and Jacqueline. So
not necessarily,
yeah, I guess it does help to be able to split up Missy and Baylor, and really, I guess, how big of a threat are Keith and Nail and Wes and Alec?
Yeah, they're not.
So
yeah.
So I can see the wisdom of taking out Jeremy, but that the logic behind, okay, he knows I have the idol, so he has to go at this particular spot, like, to me was just a little bit more of like a panic move than it was like if John was giving us confessionals of like, all right, well, I'm taking out Jeremy because, that I need to split up him and Natalie. Like, he didn't like give us reasons, and maybe he had them and he didn't want to tell them for the producers for whatever reason. But it just seemed like, I got with my hand in the cookie jar. So the easiest way for me to get out of this is to now just vote out Jeremy.
Yeah, just kill him, get rid of him. Yeah, and so that's what he goes for. It works out for Jeremy long term.
Sure.
Yep.
Okay. Anything from your conversation with Jeremy?
I can't find it.
Oh,
I've found Mike Bloom's Winners at War profile with Jeremy on Parade, and I have found my Cambodia interview with Jeremy at Parade, but I cannot seem to find my original interview with him. Did I not talk to him? No way.
Maybe you had something going on.
Maybe I had something going on. I never, ever would have stonewalled Jeremy Collins.
Can I give you a spicy quote from Jeremy?
Yeah.
Okay. According to Danielle, Jeremy said Missy is not good at picking men in her life, and John is another example of that.
Wow. Get him. Get him. Well, Missy probably feels great about that. Jeremy is not my guy. That's John, my man.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Wow. And then you asked him to do it. These guys are so dumb, and it got locked into a soundboard. And you know Jeremy decently well. You've hung out and interacted with Jeremy. You've never had an opportunity to get like a cleaner, crisper
These guys are so dumb.
podcast ready. Like I think maybe like now is a good time to do it, to get it cleaned up.
Okay. All right.
Someone
so Melissa says that the title of your interview is called Eastbound and Surround and Drown.
I did all sorts of weird stuff back then, man. And not that I'm not doing weird stuff now, but I had it was all weird, man. I don't know what I was
doing. A little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, you think? A little bit.
Okay. Then it was Clark week. I had Sophie Clark on the podcast and then Kurt Clark on voicemails.
Tell two Clarks.
For Clark week. And so it was Sophie's 5th time on the podcast. And Sophie was talking about how she's not totally feeling the season.
Yeah. Yeah.
I told Sophie about how I am really looking forward to her going back on Survivor.
Yes. And what did she say? Did she say
I think she could do very well if she goes back?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He talks about in the exit interview that John Mish would go around singing Disney songs.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember this?
Yes, I remember.
Yeah. That's it.
So
he knows every word in every Disney song. He changes up his demeanor for every character in every Disney song. Jeremy says, I'm like, that's crazy. And he doesn't even have kids? There's no way he's dating Miss Michigan. This is a big lie.
Yes. Okay. He thought he was making of a personality. He does have a kid now, so he's ready now.
Yeah, yeah. But then Jacqueline went up to Jeremy and said he's going to be a good father. And Jeremy said, whoa, that's what this is. This is John. This is legit. That's really cute. That's a really fun anecdote, actually. I like that a lot. John Mish, likable guy. I don't know. He's adorable.
So, Josh, also this week in Survivor history, 10 years ago, the Survivor, I don't know if it's Instagram or Twitter account was like holding some kind of a poll.
Okay.
They wanted, this is a little weird. Okay. They were a little thirsty for their 30th season. It's just our 30th season. They asked fans to vote for the hottest male and hottest female.
Whoa.
This was 2014.
Of all Survivor?
Yeah.
Or of San Juan del Sur?
There was a vote of who is the hottest Survivor guy.
I think I remember this.
And the hottest Survivor gal.
I think I remember this. I don't, I want to, you're looking at the results, aren't you? You see them.
I'm not like leering, right?
Yeah. No, I'm not saying you're leering at the results. I'm saying you're looking at them. I don't think you're leering.
Yes.
Is it Parvati? Did Parvati get it?
Parvati is in the top 10.
Wasn't Amber in the top 10?
She is number 10.
Yeah. Wanda?
Nope. No Wanda. Yeah.
Amanda?
Amanda is number 4 on the list.
Okay.
Here, I'll share it because Survivor quotes.
I guess I'm just trying to remember who's.
They also had a page about like some favorite players, and I guess it was a fan vote.
Yeah.
And the podcast listeners. I don't think I campaigned for it, but I think that the podcast listeners must have voted for me. And then I saw like a lot of like in the reposting of this, people being like, "Ew, why Rob C? Really?" It's very annoying. And then you know what? It wasn't even better on Blue Sky. Here you go. Top 10 hottest Survivor women. Brenda.
Wow.
Parvati.
Morgan.
Amanda. Here's Whitney Duncan.
Whitney Duncan,
who also stood me up for an Amazing Race exit interview this week in Survivor history.
Yeah, I remember.
Candace
Woodcock Cody.
Chelsea Meisner, who's gone on to a lot of fame. Amy Cusack. Elizabeth Filarski Hasselbeck.
And Amber. Curious.
There you go. And then are you curious to know about the top 10 hottest guys?
Yes. You have that available as well. Is it Malcolm at the top?
Yeah, let me see. The top 10.
Number 1.
Top 10 hottest guys. I'm okay. Okay.
Let's hear it for the boys.
Top 10 hottest guys. Okay.
Yeah.
Chase Rice, John Cody, Jay Byers, Aris, Hayden, Woo, LJ, Ozzy, the Colbster, and Malcolm. Yep.
I'm most curious about who is in those DMs of yours.
Who's in my DMs?
You've got 2.
Let me see.
Only reveal it if it's worth revealing.
Yeah, it's not worth revealing.
Okay, all right.
Okay.
Boring. What does Nicole think of Jay Byers today, 10 years later?
I think she'd be like, who?
Yeah.
Could she pick Jay Byers out of a lineup?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
All right.
Could you test that on an upcoming
I'll ask her.
5 for 5?
Yeah.
Could you like show like here's like a lineup? Which one of these?
Which one of these
Jay
5
Byers?
Survivor guys is Jay Byers?
Yeah. I would
all
love
right.
to know. Yeah. What's he doing?
What is he doing? Anyway, so next week, Natalie will begin her big end run.
It starts.
And it's famously stick to the plan next week.
Yes. Wesley was a good boy, but that's about to be ball game.
Oh, we got spitting and nuggets next week.
The good news is we got nuggets on the way. Should we order chicken nuggets for the pod?
You can.
Yeah, do you want me to?
How many nuggets will you eat on the podcast?
As many as I
kind of
can.
already done this bit.
Oh, right. Yeah. I don't want to. I don't want to infringe upon a bit. I don't want to infringe upon anyone's bits. I don't want to infringe on anyone's bits.
All right.
Okay.
Josh.
Yep.
What's coming up for you?
Oh my gosh, lots going on. We know scriptedtv.com. That's where you get all of the great scripted TV podcasts here on RHAP. We're talking Dune. That's me and Taryn and Grace, the taste makers. Taryn and Grace are talking all kinds of TV every single week. We've got Silo coverage if you're a fan of that show on Apple TV Plus. We also are doing a road to season 2 of Severance podcast on weknowseverance.com and getting ready to unlock some of those memories. So we've just started that podcast, having a good time there. This past weekend on the weekend program with myself and Antonio Mazzaro, we weighed in on Survivor 47 here at the midpoint. So if you want some Survivor talk from myself and Antonio about the latest season, you should subscribe to the weekend program at theweekendprogram.com because we just did that thing and had a really good time doing it. Other than that, I'm on Blue Sky at Round Howard, patiently waiting.
Well, I did. So here's what, again, I don't want to like the beloved Blue Sky. So I made my thing. It's showing up as a reply, not as a post.
It's a reply. Did you accidentally reply to somebody?
Nope.
No. Weird.
It's only showing up as a reply, not as a post. So
we're gonna have to troubleshoot this. We're gonna troubleshoot this.
I tried, everybody.
Can you hold your phone up to the screen? I just want to see it real quick. What does it look like? What is happening on it?
0 posts.
Post 0 posts.
Replies. There is no at. Is it because I used the hashtag? Does that make it a reply?
I don't think so. Are you getting? Does anyone see it? Have you gotten a single like on it?
Nope. No likes.
Wow. Ruthless, brutal, horrible. Right.
Back to Twitter.
Horrible, brutal.
Back to Twitter. Back in the
brutal.
pile. Okay.
We almost claimed Rob's first skeet here on Stan Juan del Sur.
You can find me on Twitter. I am at Rob Cesternino.
And as you're on your way out on Twitter, he is at Rob Cesternino on Blue Sky. You will be there when he skeets for the first time.
Whenever, but maybe I'm shadow banned. Maybe I'm shadow banned on Blue Sky.
It's not impossible that you were put on one of those various block lists that I subscribed to, and maybe I just can't read your skeets.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what the issue is there.
Yeah.
But also, Josh, if you are so willing, I'd like to also propose that next week for the podcast, we also watch the 2.5 Men episode in which Jeff Probst guest stars. Also, to tie it all together with bacon.
Yes. I'll forego the chicken nuggets and see how many BLTs I can eat on the podcast next week.
Yeah.
Or just tray bacon. Just because that's what it is, right? He shows up with a tray of bacon over his junk.
Covering his naughty bits.
Yeah, your naughty bits.
Mm-hmm.
Over his nuggets.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye.